To those who watched The Sopranos, I have a question. Why was Christopher killed in The Sopranos? Well, this is a great question. I have watched this episode twice, and from my two experiences watching this episode, I can provide the reasons I know why Christopher was killed. First, the episode long term parking is very vital to this. Shortly after talking to the FBI, Adriana goes to the bathroom, beating herself up for 8 hours crying. Then Agent Sanseverino comes to the door, beckoning Adriana to come out, and then tells Adriana her options. Sanseverino recommends that Adriana join the witness protection program despite the risk of Christopher betraying her. Because of her extreme love for Christopher, she says that she will convince Christopher to join the witness protection program with her. Once Christopher is told about this, he reacts brutally, placing both of his hands very violently on Adriana's throat, strangling her. As Adriana is getting strangled, she looks at Christopher and just accepts it. She has zero self-worth left. She even lets Christopher leave to go to the gas station, which is a big no-no. When her husband is in the mafia, she knew, and she knows that there's always a risk to Christopher choosing the mafia over her. Despite this, she just lets Christopher go on her way and sees no reason to protect herself without Christopher. When Adriana is home alone, shortly after going to the gas station, Christopher goes to Tony's basement to tell Tony that Adriana has been talking to the FBI for a year. Furious, Tony physically grabs Christopher, demanding him to tell him where she is. With hesitation, Christopher replies that Adriana is at home. Using his clever manipulativeness, Tony calls Adriana through a payphone and tells her that Christopher attempted suicide and he's in hospital, and that Sylvia will pick her up, especially now that Christopher knew that she has been with the FBI. Going into the car with Sylvia is a big no-no. Knowing that the mafia may know of her cooperation, yet just because of worrying about Christopher's morality, Adriana takes the risks and goes into the car with Sylvia. As soon as she gets into the car, instinctively she knew that Tony manipulated her and that Christopher chose the mafia over her, but is now powerless to do anything now in the car with Sylvia. On Interstate 18, Sylvia takes the exit to the woods and parks his car in the woods. Terrified, Adriana makes a last-ditch attempt to get out of, but then Sylvia violently grabs her and calls her to the C word, and then violently drops her to the ground. As Adriana is crawling in the woods, we hear 2 gunshots off screen, and that is the cliffhanger of The Sopranos. Feeling like he made a big sacrifice because of not knowing whether Adriana is alive, knowing that Tony is recovering from a coma and cannot talk, Christopher acted selfish, making it all about himself, saying that he made a big sacrifice because of not knowing if Adriana is alive. No, Christopher. Her sacrifice would have been going into the witness protection program with Adriana. Not knowing whether Adriana is alive is not a sacrifice, and especially considering how Christopher had treated her. He didn't deserve to know whether she is alive or not. So this already is building up to Christopher's death scene. The fact that he told that he made a sacrifice causes an unspoken rift between Tony and Christopher. Tony hated hearing about Christopher making everything about himself, repeating over and over again that he made a big sacrifice, putting the thoughts of killing Christopher into motion. Then in season 6, We see Christopher's awful film, Clever, which bases Sally Boy on Tony, showing how Christopher has grown to feel a mixture of love and hatred towards Tony, seeing Tony as the one thing that will prevent him from having a successful life. Next, we get to the episode Walk Like a Man, where Christopher takes a turn for the worse, feeling furious at little Polly over stealing from his wife Kelly's father. He goes to where little Polly is and throws him out of the windows, breaking 6 vertebrae. Furious at Christopher for beating up his cousin Polly, Walnuts takes things into his own hands and drives his car onto Kelly's lawns. I felt bad for Kelly because of having to feel terrorized by Polly when she was innocent. But gotta love that scene too. Too good to be true. I love almost every single time Polly goes nuts. Then Christopher goes to G.T. Dolan's place to vent. I really feel for Dolan during this scene. Really, I do. Sick and tired of the way Christopher treated him as a friend. To be honest, G.T. Dolan should have stopped being Christopher's friend in season 5. G.T. does not want to hear Christopher play the victim again. G.T. tells Christopher that he is in the mafia and does not want to hear about his mafia activities. In a violent rage, just because G.T. is sick and tired of Christopher, he takes out his gun and shoots him in the head, killing him, and then walks out, leaving G.T. dead. When G.T. died at the hands of Christopher, that is when I knew his arc had to be finished. The only way for his arc to be finished is for him to be done, especially because merely minutes before GT died, Christopher threatened to dig dirt up on Tony Soprano and reveal info on the death of Ralph Kilfarito, and not knowing whether Adriana is alive thanks to Tony Soprano. Once Christopher said that, I knew that he would very soon end up dead and not make it out alive. Well, this was my view of the question, my answer into that question, if you want to say. And it was everything about this video. See you next time. Bye.